Okay, so today we're going to talk about food production. We did go through the crop plants before and spoke about all these objectives. So today we're just going to start this subtopic of the food production topic. So first of all, we're going to understand the role of yeast into production of food, of bread, including bread. The next one is a practical to investigate the role of anaerobic respiration by yeast under different conditions. Then we're going to understand the role of bacteria, namely Lactobacillus, in the production of yogurt. And I think we'll get that far, and in another video we'll continue with objective 5.8. So let's start. Okay, so living organisms that can only be seen using the help of a microscope. These are called microorganisms. They can cause serious disease in humans or can be harnessed for our benefit. So for example, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and viruses. Can actually play the video for you. We'll play it another time, I think. Just quickly go through it. So, you should know this from our kingdoms topic. So moving on, microorganisms can be used in food production. We call this biotechnology. There are two examples that we need to know in detail: bread and yogurt. Bread and yogurt. Many of the products produced using microorganisms rely on the microorganisms carrying out a process called fermentation. You should know what fermentation means. If not, we're going to go through it now. Fermentation is how microorganisms obtain its energy. It does this by converting certain substances and making waste products. And these waste products are the products that we can use. So for example, anaerobic respiration now in bread, if you remember this equation, glucose turns into ethanol, which is alcohol plus carbon dioxide plus ATP. ATP is the unit of energy. So bread is made using the microorganism yeast, and yeast is a single-celled fungus. You should know the properties of fungi from the kingdoms topic. So when we get yeast to carry out the anaerobic respiration by taking away oxygen or limiting the amount of oxygen until it's used up, it produces carbon dioxide and ethanol. Now, it's the carbon dioxide that we really want in this type of production of bread, because we want bubbles to form, which makes the dough rise. As you can see these in the picture, these kind of holes in bread, these are carbon dioxide bubbles that were there. Now, so let's go step by step. So we make the dough. So how do we make bread? How do we make bread? Let's just see. It's carded in there. Yeah, carded's there. Okay, we'll continue. So how do we make bread? We make the dough combining yeast, flour, water, and sugar. Mix it all up. The dough is kneaded, which means pressed with your hands and rolled about, to mix all the ingredients together and left somewhere warm. So warmth is a condition. The enzymes in the yeast break down the flour. That's spelled wrong. Flour to release sugars. These are first used in aerobic respiration, but then this yeast soon runs out of oxygen. Once it's run out of oxygen, guess what? It does anaerobic respiration, and that's what we want because it produces loads of CO2 and ethanol. We don't really want ethanol here, but it's produced nonetheless. The dough is left for a few hours for this process to happen, the dough then rises, and you can see the CO2 bubbles get trapped, and it can actually grow 4 to 5 times its volume, its initial volume. The dough is then baked in a hot oven, the yeast are killed, and the ethanol is evaporated. That's why you do not get any alcohol in bread. The final product of bread. Right, bacteria are also used in the food manufacture of yogurt, vinegar, and cheese. Different types of bacteria. So all bacteria aren't actually bad. So the basic idea behind making yogurt is that you add the bacteria Lactobacillus into milk. And they use the lactose sugar that we find in the milk for fermentation. There are some people who are lactose intolerant. You may know people who can't actually drink cow's milk, so they have to find alternatives such as almond milk, oat milk, etc. But that's a story for another time. Now they produce lactic acid, which is a waste product, and this is what we want because this gives the yogurt its sour taste. Right, so the main stages of yogurt making. So number 1, sterilization. What does that mean? Well, we want to kill any germs, bacteria, unwanted microbes. So sterilization means cleaning your equipment with bleach or steam. Pasteurization of milk means heating it to a high temperature of 72 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds and then cooling it rapidly. This kills any active bacteria in the raw milk. So we want to get the bacteria in the milk that's already present because we want to introduce our own bacteria. Incubation. So incubation means the addition of the bacterial culture, which is the bacteria trying to grow Lactobacillus, and we incubate it for 3 to 6 hours at this specific temperature of 37 to 44 degrees Celsius. That's the optimum temperature. Then fermentation, the bacteria then convert the lactose into lactic acid, the lactose within the milk. It converts to lactic acid. Lactic acid, it being an acid, obviously the pH drops. This makes the milk solidify, so yogurt is more solid than milk. Then we need to cool it down to about 5 degrees Celsius, and we add flavors and fruits to produce the final product. So these are the stages of yogurt making. Now, just to simplify it for you. So sterilize the equipment, pasteurize the milk. Oops, let's go back. Pasteurize the milk, add Lactobacillus, the bacteria. We incubate it, let it grow. So then lactose is converted to lactic acid, and at the end we add fruit. So it's as simple as that. So just in conclusion, microorganisms are very useful, and we don't only use to make bread and yogurt, but we also need them to make hormones such as insulin, etc. So not all bacteria or microorganisms are harmful, in conclusion, and we can grow them in something called a fermenter, which we will go through next lesson. So I think time is up. Let's have a look. Yeah, lesson 1 is finished. So I'm going to save this video, and we'll see you next lesson. So you can just come out of this, Khalid.